Good morning, Serena. Happy New Year. This is Michelle. I don't think I've made a recording for you before, but I do this for students from time to time to try to talk through some of the answers rather than write my suggestions out. It seems to be more helpful. So if it is not more helpful for you, please let me know that, and I'll be glad to send you my suggestions in writing. So you're doing Competency Standard 3, which is from the module on guidance. So I want to go through this really carefully because these are the pieces you'll put in your portfolio, and there are some things that I just want to point out and ask you to rethink a little bit. Because it's a portfolio piece, we have to be really careful that it's going to pass the verification visit when you have that at the end of your CDA course. So your sense of self ideas are excellent. Thank you so much for those. Your modeling social interactions is wonderful. That's the best way. That's actually the only way children learn. And in the area of guidance, you can see here I have a suggestion that you remove this part here where it says, let's say sorry and do this instead, and that you're telling him it hurt our friend's feelings. And then you've got, I say things like, no, thank you. I'm not sure I know what that means. So if you could tell me more about that, that would be great. So that was just confusing to me. So I don't know what that means. If you could give me an example so I understand why you would say no thank you to the child to offer guidance. And then I don't know if you mean like modeling, saying no thank you at the snack table when you don't want something like that. But if you can explain it, that would help me. This part about hurting our friends' feelings and say sorry and do this instead. These forced apologies are not part of guidance. Young children do not understand the concept of being sorry. They're still too young and not able to really think about how someone else feels. And they also, even though we want them to care about their friends' feelings, they actually don't. So because they're just too young, they just don't know how to do that yet. So the best thing we can do in terms of hurt feelings and that sort of thing is point out to them how what the child's face looks like, and do you think they're happy or do you think they're sad about what happened, and start building in them the idea that when they do something, it has an effect on somebody. So if you want me to, I can help you go back in the module and find those things so that you know what I'm talking about. And instead of saying much more here for a portfolio piece, you either want to list all the things you do or just say, I also model appropriate behaviors and create daily routines. But if you say you're creating routines and modeling appropriate behaviors, you will need to give examples of that. So it's fine. You can keep all of that, but for the portfolio, you'll need to provide examples of it. And then under this piece here, I have underlined here, giving effective praise. In the module, it talks about not using praise, but trying to be encouraging instead. So I'm not sure if that's what you meant there, but you'll need to change that because your visitor will want to see that. And again, if you are doing all these things here, you'll need to give examples. So just simple examples will be fine. If you don't want to do daily routines again, just take that out because you did it up here. Let's see. I'm really sorry to hear how hurtful your childhood was for you. it's none of my business to comment more than that, but I always feel sad when my candidates write about that. And then, but you can use that to help yourself be aware that as a grown-up, you will, unless you really work on changing, your responses inside will very likely be similar to the way you were brought up, and that's why it's talked about in the CDA program. So just be aware of it is all I ask my candidates to do, because otherwise it's not really any of my business. So when you're dealing with young children's behavior, I underlined here that you put, I grab their hand and hold it. Down here you talk about asking for a hug first because of touch and trigger. So I see that can be a trigger. Grabbing a hand is an aggressive thing to do, and holding it is aggressive. So I would suggest not doing that unless you ask permission. So I think you understand that because you have it down here, but grabbing a child's hand and holding it is considered aggressive, and you should always ask permission. And also, if a child is upset in the moment, asking them what they're upset about and how to make it better in the moment. Yes, I see you normally have to say it a couple of times. I wouldn't say it at all. Just be there with them and don't talk. Let them have their feelings and process. Imagine how you would feel if you were really upset because you'd had a car accident or something, and you came into work and you were crying, and people started asking you what was wrong and what can they do, and just bombarding you with a lot of questions. It might be something that would overwhelm you. And for most young children, it is. Many times adults can cope with that, but young children cannot. So instead of asking it over and over again, let's look at just being with the child first and being quiet and comforting, and just letting them know, I'm going to be here with you because I can see something's going on. And I'm going to wait until you're ready to talk about it, and then leave it at that. The less words you say when a child is very upset, the better. So then, yes, eventually they will tell you what's wrong. If they know. Sometimes they don't even know. They're just upset. They're tired, they're hungry, that kind of thing. But young children don't. They're not self-aware. So, and I don't know what you mean by giving them a different way to deal with the problem, letting them know their behavior is done wasn't nice to their friends. So telling children that something they have done isn't nice doesn't really help them. It's not. It's really basically just telling them you're wrong. You did something wrong. It's the same message. So, and having them apologize is not appropriate, as I said before. And you explain to them they just have to use words and not actions. But they're young children. They don't know how to do that yet. So you can just know that they need to work on that. And then at another time, when they're not upset, when things are not, going in a difficult direction, you can play puppets with them and role play and do things like that instead. And you can tell them that everyone loves and cares for them. That's wonderful. After they've calmed down, I'll ask them for a hug. I would not be talking to them at all until they are calmed down, is kind of what I'm trying to say. When young children are upset and having a hard time, that is not the time to deal with what's happened. You need to wait until they're okay at another time, and then do something in play, puppets or something like that, stories to help them, learn about the skill. So if you can take everything I've said and rewrite this and resubmit it, that would be great. You're on the right track here. But there's just a few things I wanted to point out. And again, if you need me to write this out instead, I'm happy to do that. And I would recommend you go back into the modules and look at some of this stuff from Module 3 again, because some of the things you've mentioned here are talked about in the module. So that might help you too.